Welcome back to the AME Food Safety Show. This segment should rock you and every person that eats fried fatty foods. Let's begin with our slideshow. Trans fatty acids in food. What is that? Guess what? Read the labels. These food producers are trying to tell you, particularly if it's shelf-stable, the saturated fat, the trans fat, anything that says fat and how many grams is included in each serving that you're consuming. Look on the left. What you see there are what? You see fried goods, pretzel sticks. I see biscuits. I see crackers. I see homemade bars. I see fruit mixed with bars. I see salad dressing. I see sort of a spread mayonnaise substitute. What are they? They were produced industrially in the 1950s, looking for a substitute for butter, and was primarily to help consumers buy more products. Everything that we're going to talk about is targeted as you as a consumer based on its taste, based on its flavor, based on its substance, the way it sounds it makes in your mouth. And guess what? I want you to make a decision whether or not you're going to put these things in your mouth anymore in your life. What are we talking about? Snack foods, packaged baked goods, frying fast foods. When you go to a fast food place, think about my discussion and our brain waves as we think about what we're going to put into our mouths. Next slide. Saturated fats. What are they? You can take meat. I can take butter. I can take cheese. I can take a cream. I can take a milk. And what do I can turn into? And you see on the right-hand side there, if some people says, wow, that looks good, Andy, I want to bite into that fried chicken. I want to grab those French fried potatoes and feed them all into my body. See what happens. They taste great. They're also known as hydrogenated fats. They're used in stick margarine, fast foods, commercial baked goods, or you're using donuts, cookies, crackers, processed foods, and fried foods. Trans fatty acids are manufactured fats and using a process called hydrogenation, which is aimed at stabilizing polyunsaturated oils. We're making it shelf-stable so it lasts longer so they can sell more. Look at that food. Does it look good to you? Hopefully, after our discussion today, it won't look so great to you. Next slide. What does this slide tell us? It's a little bit of education for everybody. What are trans fats? We already talked about that. They can put them in a chocolate bar. On that Swedish cheese sandwich on the right with the little pencil fries and that beautiful sauce, you might think, Andy, I want to dig into that for lunch. You're making me hungry. Are they necessarily bad? No. But they will raise the levels of certain other chemical reactions in your body, biological reactions. Some people call them high cholesterol levels, and they do contribute to heart disease. All of these foods, I'm going to repeat it again. We're looking at French fries, shortening, potato chips, donuts, cookies, candy bars. This was identified by the United States Food and Drug Administration as potentiality for harm for humans, but we still eat them, we like them. Next slide. How can I help you phase out the consumption of these trans fats? Well, the Food and Drug Administration, I'm kind of going with them right now, they add hydrogen to reduce the number of fat particles. And how do they do that? Well, let's look at it. You start out with a vegetable oil, a semi-liquid vegetable oil, a soft margarine, a stick margarine, a shortening. There's an old joke that says that we Mexicans don't cook with vegetable oil, we cook with lard. So a lot of times, when I was a kid, my mom would say, hey, you want some eggs? She would pick a big dollop of lard and plop it into the pan and fry me an egg. I said, Mom, that's mostly lard and a little egg. And she laughed and said, eat it anyway. So that was how I was raised. I'm trying to change that curve by telling everyone that the product is pretty much the same. If whether it's a vegetable source or an animal source, you're basically plopping those oils, those fats into your body, and your body will do one thing. If it doesn't use it, it stores it. If you see somebody walking around with unusually a lot of stored energy, they're not using it. It's pretty obvious. Next slide. What do the trans fats do in our body? This is a very complicated slide. I'll walk you through it very quickly. It produces HDL, LDL. Those are all terms you can talk about, look up, and research. But the bottom line, what you're going to be affecting is your heart and your liver. You're also going to be storing that fat that you're not using throughout your body. It's going to be underneath your neck. It's going to be on the sides of your waist. It's going to be in front of your abdominals. You know that everybody has beautiful abdominals? Everybody. The only thing you need to do is strip away that fat so you can see them. Upper or lower, beautiful abdominals. They're very muscular. And the bottom line is, the more you load up with fat, it could end up in your legs. It could end up in your ankles. It could end up in the sides of your head. That fat's not going to help you. It's going to reduce your mobility. It's going to actually lower your self-esteem. That's what we're talking about, the accumulation of things that you eat in your body. Next slide. What is truth in advertising? That means that the manufacturer is disclosing everything that you need to know before you purchase or you consume that product. Crisco, I grew up on that. It was the scientific replacement for fat known as, I already talked about it, lard, which comes from an animal. What they do in a lot of these labels is they try to manipulate that data with fancy words. One of them is saturated fat, and then trans fat. They put a 0 on one or the other, and then the total fat, they put a number, which doesn't mean anything to you because it doesn't translate. But the consumption of these trans fats is a risk to your coronary. You don't have to wait till you go to a cardiologist and have a heart attack or an event to have them tell you, hey, cut back on your cholesterols. I'm telling you right now, you can do it without a doctor's prescription, and certainly without a pill. If you have a doctor that tells you to take a pill, that's your choice. But the American Heart Association recommends that you limit your trans fat intake, that's what we're talking about, animal or plant oils, to 2 grams a day. It's hard to do. There's very little products that have it. But make a quick determination in your life whether you need to do it. Next slide. Which foods to eat? I always get hit with this question. Look, I'm not a dietitian. I'm a chemist. I see these components in the products that make you consume. They make it taste better, they make it crunchier, they make it look better, they make it stay on the shelf longer. And they make it sweeter usually. So the bottom line for you, these trans fats or hydrogenated oils either help you become the person you want to be or they don't help you. Nobody is being force-fed that I've ever seen. People take that product and plop it in their mouths. They either like it or they don't. You ever had something that's horrible and sour? I have. I take it immediately, I spit it out. Something I like, it tastes sweet, I crunch it down and enjoy the benefits. Sometimes I'm horrified by the results. So, what I'm saying to everyone that's watching this program, start making wise choices. Do you really need that gingerbread Betty Crocker product in your body? Do you really need those 100% chocolate cookies in your body? Maybe in a child because they burn it up at a higher metabolism rate. That makes sense. Do you really need tea cakes? Do you really need that ice cream? And do you really need, having worked in law enforcement, do you really need a donut with jelly inside it? Do you really need those 24 donuts in your squad car? Think about it. Next slide. The FDA and many health organizations have come up with the whole idea of writing a food plan. Here is my idea to you. I do have this format. I did borrow it. They always say eat well-rounded foods. Okay, that's a good idea. But the issue is always, what is the volume? Is it appropriate to your lifestyle? If you're going to sit watching TV 12 hours a day, you probably don't need to eat a lot of high-protein foods in order to maintain your activity levels. Plan what you eat for each day. I say that many times. I travel quite a bit and I can't plan. I do my best. But the issue is for you, the person listening to this program, to this discussion. You need to look at, well, how many grains do I need? How many vegetables do I need? How many fruits do I need? How many dairy items do I need? And how many protein foods? How many of those items make me what I want to be? If you're a monster, 500 pounds, you might think about cutting back. If you're anywhere between 0 and 500, work up a plan. The best thing I've ever found for a person to lose weight is to keep a daily journal of whatever they ate and write it down. And then once a week, look back. And you will make your own self-determination in your own brain whether or not you want to keep eating a giant 2-patty hamburger with extra large fries and an extra large Diet Coke. Think about it. So, all of us should plan our own meals. If your children are obese and they can't move, they can't even jog around the block, you as a parent, you as an uncle, you as an aunt, you as a grandparent, you might want to sit down with that child and teach them about how to write a daily food plan. Next item, my most distressful of all my discussions today, the next segment will talk about how you check your restaurants for food safety.